Tids and Bits. That's right. Cinema 9 podcast. We got them all for you here. Travis Roy, what used to be known as Eric Branstrom, and Michael Govier. I guess Eric got a little camera shy there. He freaked out and he had to leave. But he will be back. He always comes back. He never abandons us. That's what we do here. We stick together on the Cinema 9 podcast. We talk movies, film, cinema, all things related to the creation and critical review of movies, right?
That is what we do, and there is Eric back in action. Welcome back. Did you have like a temporary existential moment, or was it just like a Wi-Fi issue?
I was offended by Tids and Bits.
No more other sister references, right? Milked it long enough.
Yeah, that's true. There's no doubt about that. Glad Eric came back to join us because today we're going to talk about his selection. He chose a movie called Frailty from 2001. So we'll get to that later in the show. We'll break it down and we'll discuss it in detail. But before we do that, we like to say hello to each other and see how, how are things? How's society treating you, Travis?
Pretty good. I'm like going into the mouth of the lion every time I go to work because literally more than half of my students are out sick, and the ones that are here, most of those are recovering from being sick. And I'm just like, and it's like flu and COVID and God knows what else. Like there are people that have both right now. I'm just like, all right, just going in. Let's see what happens today.
Wow.
Every day's an adventure.
Wow, dude.
That's not fun. That's not fun.
It's not fun.
It's not fun.
We lost Eric again. Wow. Well,
I don't know why he's not having fun.
Oh, he's got some audio issues he's trying to correct. He'll come back to us. He will come back to us. If you love Eric, set him free. He'll fix his audio issues and return.
It's an ongoing thing.
No. What? No.
Right, Aaron? Hey, shout out to Chudpud right now. Eric's having some audio issues. And I know that our buddy Chudpud takes pride in letting us know if we ever have audio issues. So we do appreciate it. Thank you for listening to the show. Don't give up on us, Dad. That's about all I can say. But, I was thinking how excited I was. Sunny Day Real Estate is back, and they're going to be doing a show. So we have to mention that because it's all thanks to you that you enlightened me. I woke up to the news of that day, and it changed my life. It was so exciting.
I agree. It was exciting to me, too. I saw that they were playing, I want to say Riot Fest or something like that. Mm-hmm. And so I just kind of started keeping an eye on the old Facebook page like a good boomer. And then the rock and roll band announced that they were coming finally on tour. So after 12 years after buying a ticket to see them, you and I will finally see them together. And Eric is back again. Hello, sir. How's Griffith, Indiana?
I'm here to stay. I recently pulled the trigger on some tickets for November. I'd never seen Smashing Pumpkins. They're my favorite band of the 90s, and they're coming with Jane's Addiction, who I've always kind of wanted to see. So I'm kind of excited for that. So, I'm getting pumped for shows. I haven't been to a show in eons.
Yeah, I started running down the list after got the Sunny Day Real Estate ticket, and it made me think, wow, yeah, there's probably a lot of shows this year. People are ready to get back out. COVID, in a strange way, has blessed us with the opportunity to see bands that maybe would not have toured, who took it for granted, maybe. I mean, these are speculative comments, but...
Very.
Well, I think that it's maybe more of a clogged pipe effect. Like any band that maybe was thinking about going on tour for the last few years, everyone's going to kind of have a big push, all at once.
That's true too. Yeah, I think
which is also happening.
All that.
Which is happening in theaters as well, right? I mean, it's kind of slowing down now, but we're getting this glut of Marvel content and all that kind of stuff. It's like, oh, okay. It's like the stool has loosened up.
Oh, stool softeners. Really
gross metaphor.
Stool softeners are a staple of the feast. You got to have your stool softeners always. So, yeah, very important. But I also saw, I didn't get to see that Jawbox run, but they're doing a couple tour dates, and I think
it's incredible.
I think we're locked in. I'm going to be locked in to see them on July 23rd in DC because I was supposed to be
DC in DC.
Yeah, it's in DC.
I want to see them in DC.
Oh, okay.
That's where they're from, isn't it?
Yeah, that's they're part of that hardcore scene back in the day. They're not doing a full tour. It's like a couple New York City dates, that DC, and I also found that out because I looked at the Riot Fest calendar. I'm like, oh, Jawbox is playing Riot Fest?
All right.
That's a pretty good Riot Fest lineup. So.
Welcome to Post Punk 9. We're here to talk alternative music and the resurgence of bands from the 20 years ago.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. Matt Wilson's here. He says, okay, just to get it out of the way, don't go see Father Stew. It was horrible. Best part was I bought my pre-tickets for Top Gun, and yes, they still do the MJR clap in Brighton. LOL.
That's wonderful.
Father Stew is the new Mel Gibson movie.
Yeah, did he direct it? I know that's what's his nuts? Mark Wahlberg is starring. I know. Are you guys excited for this new Top Gun movie? I had zero interest in this shit because I never cared for the movie, frankly. But people are basically, I mean, like I heard a big time reviewer today say that it was better than fucking a fast Mad Max Fury Road, and all these huge these grandiose claims are being made, like it's gonna win an Oscar. I'm like, okay, people are really fucking excited for this movie.
What? The Oscars and Top Gun?
I got my tickets. I'm gonna take Ange. Like, she's a huge Top Gun fan, and she hasn't been to the theater since 2019. So it's gonna be a fun night for us.
Oh, that's exciting. Be a good return.
I am more interested in talking about it and like making fun of it, or be like, oh, Top Gun 2. It's just funny to make fun of Top Gun. I don't cherish the actual original. I mean, I love Tony Scott, but it was not even close to for me to being like a top 5 Tony Scott movie. It's just more fun to make fun of the movie for like Tarantino did so well about. The funniest thing about Top Gun ever is it's one man's quest of wrangling and accepting his homosexuality. It's so funny when he did that. I can't remember what movie that was from. You guys know what I'm talking about?
It sounds like a Jackie Brown kind of thing, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, remember. It's pre-Jackie Brown. It was in like some small movie. It's not his movie, but he was like, doing an acting bit in someone's movie. I was thinking that's what it was, but it wasn't that either.
Destiny Turns on the Radio.
Destiny Turns on the Radio, right?
Is that what it is?
It's fucking got to be. If it wasn't 4 Rooms and it wasn't From Dusk Till Dawn, I mean, he hasn't done that much else, to be frank.
Okay, well, I do know it's from the mid-'90s, and I'll just take your word for it. And if you guys want to verify it, let us know you're watching or listening. Send them an iPod at protonmail.com so you can contact us. Let me know what movie was Tarantino's rant about Top Gun being one man's quest to come to terms with his homosexuality, which is a beautiful story to tell. I kind of like it when it's told in those terms, but I have a feeling that's not what they were trying to do with the original Top Gun. So we'll see.
If they take a new one in that direction, that would be very encouraging. That'd be cool.
It just seems like they're going to do the beats. This is the type of movie where you do all the beats of the first one, except with different actors. So I'll be shocked. If these reviews are as they say they are, then I will be shocked, and I will admit that I was wrong. I will, but
yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
Anyways, let's talk in movies. Let's get into quarantine viewing picks. Travis Roy, you have control of the board. What have you been watching since you've been a busy boy trying to avoid the plague?
Revisited Bulletproof from 1996.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's forgettable, and I'd forgotten it, and now
the most forgettable Adam Sandler movie outside of maybe the first one he ever did before he was on SNL.
That's the only one I haven't seen, but it's like this.
You've never seen Going Overboard?
I've never seen Going Overboard. I think I have other things going on.
Like Bulletproof.
Like Bulletproof again. What a fucking shitty movie. Lost City from this year, the new one with Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum. There's been a bunch of movies like this before it came out. There's going to be a bunch of movies like this after it, but it was an entertaining afternoon, throw it on kind of thing on the weekend. It was fine. Keep your expectations moderated, and you will pass the time with The Lost City. I had not heard about this until recently, but Don Cheadle single-handedly wrought this movie out of the ether called Miles Ahead, where he basically it's really weird because it's not a biopic of Miles Davis, but it had the blessing of his family, and it takes a bunch of his actual events from his life. Have you seen it, Mike?
I remember this movie, and I actually had it, and I didn't get a chance to watch it when I had it. So
it's wild because there's real things happening in the film, but they're being strung together in ways. Hey! Calm down.
Hey!
Fighting one another. Come here.
Dogs are tender.
Scruffy doesn't like having invaded territory when he's in his little seat in Maragat.
By the way, side note, totally random side note. I was playing softball last Sunday, which I obviously play way too much softball, but the guy told me that we're talking dogs, and he said that Chihuahuas become very attached to one person. Is that true?
This is very true. This dog is trying to follow me into the shower. She cries like constantly. She's very, very attached to me.
That guy was right. Okay, cool.
I
How
think
about that?
so. Which I don't mind.
Maybe he's a huge Don Cheadle fan. She's like, "Careful, Travis. You better not badmouth the Cheed."
Funny.
Maybe. Oh wait, here, let me switch. Anyway,
Don't mess with the Cheed.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Dog trouble. I'm trying to wrangle them. She's still, she's still learning. She's becoming a very good girl. She just has some work to do. Anyways, Miles Ahead was interesting because it was like strung together by this character that Ewan McGregor plays that doesn't exist. He was like this reporter, and like he's tagging along with Don Cheadle through all these adventures, or Miles Davis and all these adventures that didn't actually, but like they did take place. But it was a weird way to do a biopic. Good performance from Don Cheadle. I'm surprised I haven't heard more about it. Cool. After sitting through the dreck that was Doctor Strange in the multiverse of Madness.
Whoa. The Drek?
I hated it. Didn't we talk about this already?
I think I caught a tail end of this, I think, because I wasn't on this episode. And that was I believe it was the Cosimo episode.
Like a Marvel movie. You've missed out.
I had to ask so I went and watched Thor 1 and Thor 2 because I'd already also recently watched Incredible Hulk and the first Avenger, and definitely like those a lot more than I thought I did. So I wanted to see, is Multiverse of Madness the worst movie in the MCU? And I really think it might be. I watched Thor and Thor: The Dark World. Thor is definitely better than Multiverse of Madness, but Dark World and it might be tied. I mean, Dark World is a mess. Multiverse of Madness is a mess, but at least Dark World, like, the director doesn't just smear himself all over it like a peanut butter sandwich on someone's wall. So
Sam Raimi put way too much of himself in this movie, is what you're telling me.
It's nothing but Raimi. I mean, I'm constantly throughout I've already said this on the show, so sorry for those that but I mean, like, it's just like constant refrain. Hey, here's the trick I did. And remember when I did this? Remember when I did this in that movie? Here's this from that movie. But Doctor Strange is going to do it now. And it's like, okay. And on top of that, the script was it was a wreck. There's so many wasted opportunities. So I will leave that review there. Again, I've already beat that horse. But with the
Doctor Strange is sidelined at his own sequel from what I read.
Yeah. I mean, he's like the least interesting thing in the movie. With the passing of Fred Ward, I had to, of course, once again revisit Remo Williams' The Adventure Begins, which never gets old. I love it so much. I will defend that movie. I know, of course, that Joel Grey in like Korean yellowface is obviously more than a little problematic. But I'll tell you what, through the whole movie, all the character does is like curse out Remo Williams for being a white man and talk about how Koreans are the most superior people on earth. So, I mean, they've got, for those that have that issue, it is at least there's that going on. But I swear that movie's so funny, so fun. I could just watch that over and over again. Remo Williams never gets old. Rest in peace, Fred.
I remember this poster.
Never seen it.
Like he's climbing like the Statue of Liberty. Like what is this? Who is this guy? Like, did the adventure continue? Like, who the hell is Remo Williams?
I wish it had. I don't think it was Marvel. I don't know who owned it, but it was a comic book character. And there was only one movie made. And basically he's this guy who's trained by this Korean master to like do all of this, impossible stuff. And there's this incredible action sequence in the film back in 84 or 85 when the Statue of Liberty was being worked on for an extended period of time. So there's all this rigging and all this scaffolding going on. And the stunts in this movie are insane. There's a huge scene where Fred Ward is doing some of his own stunts and people are like grappling and jumping around the Statue of Liberty. It's incredible. It's really fun.
That's awesome.
And that's what I watched. Those are the films. Remo Williams. If you haven't seen it, you should watch Remo Williams.
Well, there you have it. All right. Hey, Eric Brasher, what about you?
Yeah, Bridget Jones' Baby. I never seen any of the Bridget Jones films. Like, this came on, I couldn't find the remote, and like I kind of liked it. I don't know. What can I tell you?
I did those last year. It was fun.
Did you? Yeah, I liked them. Like, fast-paced, fun, sweet romantic comedy. I had no big complaints here. But in terms of like actual content that I sought out, I got to tell you that I watched Nick of Time? Remember Nick of Time? Like Johnny Depp has to kill this guy, and like there's like 100 people just staring at him for like an hour and a half until he does it. Like they're not going to be found out that it's some sort of conspiracy. Like what is this plot? I don't know. Kind of fun.
It rests on the gimmick of taking place all in real time. I remember that being the first movie that I ever saw. It takes place within like it's all consecutive in an hour and a half or whatever.
But I'm like, there's cameras everywhere. You're not gonna like be like, look, this guy told me to do it. See how in like every like this whole an hour and a half he's getting in my face telling me to kill this guy. Bizarre. Yeah, Mighty Joe Young, 1998. Speaking of Bill Paxton, I went back. Yeah, I mean, what am I going to say here? Ron Underwood directs. This is the guy who made Tremors, speaking of the great Fred Ward, and City Slickers. Yeah. He gives us Mighty Joe Young. It's got some fun moments in the beginning, and then it's just like, who cares? It's going to go to the city, cause trouble. Like, what do we do? He's out there. It's the city. Kind of dumb. Yeah, not much to say there. I was pleasantly surprised by what, as it turns out, is my final selection, because it was a very... we're winding down the school year, so I got a lot of grading and shit. Heavyweights. Turn on Heavyweights. Remember Heavyweights? Like 1995, like Kenan Thompson, like Ben Stiller, a bunch of kids at Fat Camp. It's written by Judd Apatow. Yeah. I had no idea. I went back and watched it.
This was part of Ben Stiller's What the Fuck on Joe Blow. I never saw that movie. I was like, I've never heard of this or seen this. I'm going to have to watch it.
To be honest with you, man, I was laughing out loud. It's funny. Like I really enjoyed it. It was laugh out loud funny, and sincere. So yeah, Heavyweights, I can recommend it. But
did Joe Blow figure out that Ben Stiller has been executive producing and directing and stuff?
Yeah. Did he ever find out what happened to Ben Stiller in the past 25 years?
It's just again, this series is. I'll get into that when I talk. Yeah, crap. I'll address that. I know it's so stupid. It's just total. Maybe that's what we need to be doing. Hey, what the fuck happened to Batman? What the fuck happened to the Batman?
Clickbait garbage, man. Yeah, where is Robert Pattinson? What happened to him?
Yikes. Yeah, Heavyweights.
All right. Gotta revisit. I remember, seeing it back in the day, but Ben, since it was new.
Benson?
Ben since
Robert Guillaume. Benson, that old series.
How's the reason? Robert Guillaume kicking in early? Matt Wilson, buddy, our friend, chiming in again. Okay, Travis, I saw a trailer about Nicolas Cage promoting the movie about Nicolas Cage. I was curious your thoughts. I love Nicolas Cage. I loved The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. What else can I possibly say? I mean, I reviewed it earlier on the show, so I won't go too deeply into it. But I mean, if you like things that are good, you should watch that movie.
Oh.
Beautiful. Well said.
Michael?
Oh, you're done? Okay, that's it.
I'm done. I gush about Cage a lot. I can rein
No,
it in.
I didn't know Eric was done. Yeah, okay. You can gush. The gushing of Cage will never end. That's never done. That's just like a pause button. So, okay.
Remember
well, yeah, man, those are good. I never got to have those in my house, but Andrew Johnson had them at his house. We used to eat all of them
premium
right
snack.
Away.
Yeah,
just murder that snack cabinet underneath the counter there. He didn't care. They had plenty of money. They could afford more. It's fine.
Yeah. That's a great attitude to have towards your friends.
Gushers animosity?
Animosity from the Gushers.
No, I remember using the kid for his He-Man toys and his Dunkaroos, so I can't. I can't
exactly.
Yeah, you know when to talk.
Yeah, hey, you got to take advantage of the opportunities when you get them. If you don't come from a super fun, healthy lifestyle.
He was the son of a dentist. I'm like, you got real Robotech toys. It was amazing. They were steel.
That's a big deal. Yeah, that's a big deal, man. So I went back to 2016, not very far away, and I watched Batman v Superman, the Ultimate Cut, Ultimate Edition. I never saw the Ultimate Edition. I'm like, so what are some of the extras in this? I mean, there's a few things in there, I think, where the extension of scenes that weren't in the movie that were dropped. You have a better chance of seeing Amy Adams naked in the tub, I guess. That was part of it. I'm like, okay, this is a cartoon comic book movie. Why is there a naked woman in a bathtub? It seemed like they were trying to ground it in a reality with that. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, Amy Adams is a wonderful woman, a wonderful actress, very talented. But, I just feel bad for the movie now. I actually feel bad for Batman v Superman because of people are so locked in on the Martha thing. It's the first thing that comes up within a minute of discussing the film. But if you could get past that I think it's not bad. It's not a bad movie. It's a bit bloated, and obviously how everything ended with the fall of the Justice League disaster and all that. There's so much of like mythos playing into this that it's unfair a bit to the movie. I think it's a little unfair. I kind of like the movie, but I also think about the motivations of Batman and Bruce Wayne, like what he did, what Superman did with Zod and destroying a city. That is a great premise for like setting up an anger. Like people died and lives were destroyed because of these superheroes going crazy against each other and totally dismissing the life they're supposed to be protecting. And that makes sense, but it just doesn't make sense for someone to switch instantly because they heard the name Martha. And I guess I'm still confused by it. I still wonder how they were laying it out, storyboarding it. Okay, let's storyboard the Martha scene. He's going to stab him with the kryptonite spear, but he's going to say, save Martha. And then he's just going to stop in this rage. He's supposed to be in an absolute rage. Did you see how hard Ben Affleck's character was working out with the fucking hanging weights? I mean, this guy was really putting in time. Working out sucks. It's not fun, okay? That would not change right away. So I guess in the end, I just still don't get why the Martha thing happened, but I also think it's overplayed. I think these are simultaneously happening at once. I don't know. Any thoughts on
I like the
now?
film. I've always defended the movie. I hate all versions of Justice League, but I actually like Batman v Superman. And I think it's very harshly condemned.
I know that he was miserable, Affleck, when he was doing that was like the peak of his alcoholism. And that like, that's when Jennifer Garner was like, you need to stop this, you need to like get your shit together. So I know, and I think it kind of comes across in the film. I've always taken great issue with Murderer Batman. I don't care for Murderer Batman. I think it runs completely contrary to what the character is. Right. So I have big problems with that. And I don't know, the most mason jars full of piss in a movie since The Aviator.
Granny's peach piss? Granny's peach tea piss?
Honestly, it's the first thing that leaps in my mind every time someone talks about that movie. I'm like, oh yeah, jug of piss. Over that one.
Holly Hunter, Granny's piss.
Holly Hunter staring at piss. That's what I think of every time.
Hey, it feels like a missed marketing opportunity. They definitely should have made a drink. With all the things they exploit for marketing and cash, I cannot believe they didn't make a custom special edition Granny's piss.
Team up with the Mason Company. Team up with the Mason Jar Company.
Yes.
And Snapple or something.
God, these marketing people think of everything. I can't believe they didn't think of that. But also, and I love Jesse Eisenberg so much, but he's
great.
You're doing a Joker as Lex Luthor. It's just stupid. It doesn't work, man. And I love Jesse Eisenberg. I will always defend him. He took a risk. I appreciate that, but it's too close to like maniacal. Lex Luthor to me is more reserved, like very intelligent, pragmatic, not like a.
Do it again for the rest of the show. I think that like I cannot imagine someone more miscast in any movie. As much as I like Jesse Eisenberg, he's one of the most miscast people I can think of, and I can only imagine that he's like, oh, what the fuck am I doing in this movie? I better do something completely fucking out on a limb.
That's the thing, man.
I think what now? What's that? What do I think?
I'm going to come back.
I think. You
figured they hired him and they were just like, we love the social network. We're picturing Lex Luthor as Mark Zuckerberg. So just do that. And he's like, okay, I'll do the movie, but I'm not doing that. And they were like, oh, fuck. Well, just whatever.
I think you probably nailed it.
Hey, come on, do that. Okay, so I watched Tango and Cash. I think Eric watched this a while ago. Was that you?
And if it's not Tango, it's Cash.
Jack Palance gets like no screen time. He's like he's a classic actor. It was
so dumb.
There's a lot of funny stuff behind the making of this movie too, because none other than the fucking bozo man himself, John Peters, was involved in this movie. So anytime John Peters is involved, it's going to be a chaotic set, and he's going to make it. He's probably going to be the main reason there is a chaotic set.
Tell me who John Peters is. I don't know who.
He's the producer. He's a producer who's produced tons of stuff. He used to be with Barbara Streisand in the 70s. He was a hairstylist. Shampoo was based upon him.
Was he the guy that Bradley Cooper was based on in Licorice Pizza? Okay. Yes, Bingo. I have heard of him. Never mind.
Yeah, the guy who wanted the spider that he actually got in to Wild Wild West, which is
very famously got the giant metal spider in a movie. Didn't care what movie it was in.
Yeah.
Just we're remaking Room with the View. Well, let's put a giant fucking spider in it.
Yep. He's also a scumbag. Like he's like verbally and physically abusive. Fuck that guy entirely.
Oh, really?
He's everything that's wrong with Hollywood. Like he's done shit like that on set. You can look it up. Google John Peters, Jon if you prefer. And he also, I'll say this. Christopher Nolan barred him because this guy still owned the rights. He still held the rights to Superman. But when Christopher Nolan was executive producer on Man of Steel, he barred him from the set, said he could never be there ever, and everyone clapped. They were very happy about that. So. He's still alive, for the record. John Peters is hanging out somewhere, being like too out of control and angry, and his eccentricities are so fun. His verbal abuse is so eccentric. What a good time!
Spiders.
Fuck off! Jesus Christ. And I think that was pretty much it. I watched, like I said, the Joe Blow what the fuck videos, the WTF videos. I mean, they're, as Travis said, they're just trying to suck you in. Listen to this. What the fuck happened to Goodfellas? What? It's an amazing movie. End of story, okay?
Well, maybe they're doing like we ask ourselves, does it hold up? And then sometimes we, like last week we did The Witch, which is not that old. So maybe they're just trying to they wanted to talk about Goodfellas, so they're like, "What the fuck happened to Goodfellas?" That movie.
It's what they're doing.
And routinely talks about. Yeah,
you're right.
Okay.
That's exactly what they do. They just use WTF as oh my god, what happened to that person or that movie, and then they just break down the movie, how much money it made and how it got made, and blah 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 blah. So that's really all it is.
That's all they're doing. Okay, we've deciphered the code.
You know who got one, which surprised me, and I did watch it. What the fuck happened to Rob Schneider? He got his own video, which I couldn't believe. I'm like, what? Rob Schneider gets his own video?
Waiting for Grown Ups 3. That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
That
clearly.
I'd actually be curious about. I mean, what happened? I mean, I saw Deuce Bigalow in theaters, so
it made a lot of money too. Yeah, it was a moneymaker for them. He
I enjoyed The Animal.
He left the Democratic Party.
Wow.
So I'll just let you fill in the blanks on all that. Where he's become more political over the last 7-8 years. Okay. Anyways, did you know he also has money from Netflix, though? Netflix is crashing. Netflix is going to start offering commercials here soon. It's all going to hell for Netflix right now. They paid Rob Schneider good money for stand-up specials and a TV show. So, hey, maybe you guys should have slowed down on just dispensing the cash to anybody.
It's almost like just having a blank check. And then for single seasons of TV shows for a decade was not a great business model.
It's shocking. Yeah, I guess you never can tell. If that's the world we're living in, I just don't understand it anymore. So
take a serious.
Hut's good, sir. Okay, there it is. I watched some other movies, but I don't want to reveal them because they could be options for a future show. Yeah, wow. Larry. All right, there it is. Cinema9pod@protonmail.com. We have no new emails this week, but if you want to email us, like that guy in England, hey, England guy, you still out there? How you doing?
Sheriff of Nottingham? What was that guy?
Yeah, the guy from Nottingham.
You know what I noticed today is that someone recently, it looks like, it's kind of hard to tell when you look at our analytics or whatever, but it looked like someone had downloaded about 40 of our episodes that were more or less in a row. So they were clearly binging us. I'm like, oh, binge us. By all means, please do binge us.
Binge us, good sir, or good lady, or whoever you are.
Of us.
Yeah, binge on some Cinema 9. Have a good time. You can do it on the YouTube channel anytime, or you could do it in audio form on your favorite podcast platform. Something from Christian here, it looks like.
$2.78 is way too much for a Rob Schneider vehicle. They blew it. So I guess he's saying they overspent.
Yes, I see you working now. Okay, I see what you're saying, Christian. Well done. Clever girl. Yeah. And a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. Give us a review if you wouldn't mind. We always check the reviews at least once a week, and Eric is quick to share the screenshots with us on our text thread, and we say, yay, thank you. In fact, we should probably do that more often on the show. Hey, thanks to so-and-so for doing reviews. And I'll try to do that next week and remind us to do so. There you go.
All right. Sure. Should we get into Frailty?
Is that the movie? Frailty?
That is the film.
Doesn't this look like an interview with a vampire?
It's like it definitely doesn't look like any of the cast members.
Dan Stevens. Clearly Dan Stevens. It
looks like Dan Stevens. I was thinking that too. Bats flying out of Dan Stevens' head. Frailty.
And also, why is it called Frailty?
Well,
I asked myself this question as well.
Theories?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. By all means, don't leave us a dangling.
What do you got?
Let's get into it, man.
You
want to do the whole? Let's talk about.
We got to do the whole. We got to do the whole deal.
Like you, creature of habit, like you, I believe he is. Okay, right. So, speaking of creature of habit, we should mention that now, right?
Yeah.
Before we get too far into the show.
Good call. Yes, let's make the announcement. Go ahead.
Well, the announcement is we're going to move the show to Wednesdays instead of Thursdays. I've had some conflicts that have been annoying, and we've had to start later and earlier, back and forth each Thursday. It's just so stupid why they do that. I don't know why they do that, but it's just going to be easier now because we're all available on Wednesday, so we're going to move the show to Wednesday, same time, right? 7 o'clock on Wednesdays?
Yeah.
So catch us on Wednesdays, and then we'll be dropping the episode for download on Spotify and Apple and whatnot the following Thursday.
So this is the last Thursday show.
Yeah. Do you catch the show on the drive into work normally on Friday morning? Because now it'll be Thursday morning. Do you? I'm a big like dishwasher podcaster where I listen to a lot of podcasts while I'm doing fucking dishes, cleaning my house. So let us know how you watch and if this Wednesday will be good for you. But I'm excited about the new time slot.
I like to wear my headphones, go to the grocery store, listen to a podcast.
Yeah,
I enjoy
like
that
too.
So just me in my own world, and then I can just listen to my pods. Probably shouldn't go to the grocery store 7 days a week, though. I feel like that's too much.
What are you, my father? That's what he does. Yeah. He goes shopping once a day and buys one meal. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
I do that too.
Oddly enough, started during COVID. I need to get out of that. Yeah.
I spend like $100
I know.
every visit.
Starve myself.
I'm starving.
Let's starve ourselves and go shopping. What a great idea.
All
right, so Frailty.
Today.
So
Frailty. Yes.
That was from last week's show. That's right. The dragon.
Sometime.
What was it? The
reluctant dragon.
Oh,
yeah, the problematic dragon.
Yeah.
The gay-coded dragon.
That's funny. Yes, that's correct. All right, so this movie came out in 2001, although some say 2002, but I'm going with 2001 again. I don't want to deal with this shit like last week.
It was the same thing as last week. It came out in festivals because it's an independent film, and then it got a broader release in 2002.
Okay, that makes sense. And if IMDb says it's 2001, that's usually what I go with. So, Travis, do you remember seeing this film directed by Bill Paxton in 2001 or 2?
I do. Well, in 2002, when everyone else pretty much saw it, I was working in Blockbuster, as we so often, have the story as prosaic as it is.
I've heard that before.
Yeah. So I rented it and I watched it, and I immediately put it in the very rare category. I'm going to call it the Session 9 category of horror films I watched that came out in the early 2000s that I thought were fucking garbage, that I watched like inexplicably get this huge cult following that mystified me. And then I watched it again last night.
Okay, I love that. That's a fascinating description. Eric, you chose this movie. Do you remember the first time you put your eyes on Frailty?
This was a exceedingly rare date for me back in 2002. Like I had very few dates in my adult life. But this was a date movie, and all I can say is
terrible date movie.
Well, the romantic
really
opportunity quickly fizzled out, but my love for this film endured, and I saw it many times thereafter. I became a huge supporter and one of the cult members. I loved the film. Saw it many times. Been about 12 years.
Yeah, clearly I never saw this, but I do remember it coming out. Frailty stuck with me. Some reason that's a unique word. It stands out a bit. Frailty. I didn't know it was directed by Bill Paxton until I learned all this last week. So it's a whole new experience for me again. 2 straight weeks of what I call scary movies that were new to me. So let's talk
a horror movie.
IMDb score.
Kind of a psychological horror movie, but it's sort of a horror movie. Yeah, IMDb score. I'm going to guess 5.9.
Oh man.
Oh wow.
I feel like show. I better strap in.
Yeah, I got to take myself out of it. I'm going to say this is it's like a 6.7, a 6.7.
Yeah, I saw the score. It is anywhere from 7.2 or 7.3. It seems to have changed the past few days for some weird reason.
No, on IMDb.
Wow.
It's IMDb. IMDb. It's just the letters. Like you don't have to, and then you type it in .com afterwards, and then it'll tell you the score, which has got to be in the 5s.
So yeah, I think right now it's 7.2.
7.2.
It is.
Fascinating.
It is.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, and its popularity is rising recently. So.
Oh, people are going to hate me.
Well, let's see if you got some friends in common at good old Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh boy.
Where 75% of the critics said it was good. 75. That's a rock solid score. And 78% of the audience. So Yeah, this is a tight crew right here. 75 and 78. So I guess people are seeing this movie for what it was, regardless of being a critic or just an average.
Oh, did they lay a hand on it and then shake the camera and make a funny noise and mug at the camera, and then make the music?
Yeah, they did.
Well? Is that how they
Lay a hand on the VHS cover.
5.4. Stare at each other. Stare at the VHS cover.
Let's see what the critical reaction is. We do this every week on Rotten Tomatoes. How about Neil Minow? Oh,
Neil
Nell.
Minow.
Sorry, Nell. No, Nell. It's Nell, like the movie Nell.
Nell?
Sorry. Yeah.
Give us the review, but speak it like Nell.
Yes. Yeah.
Say the review like Nell, Michael.
Yeah.
Lacks drama, unbelievable premise.
Nell Minow of Common Sense Media said, violent and ultimately uneven and unsatisfying. Oh.
Okay, Nell.
Okay, well, Nell's entitled to her opinion. Glad to see that she's learned English and she's commentating on movies now. That's good. Let's see. Who else here? Looking for the classics. No Goody Koontz again. I don't think Goody Koontz would see this. He might be afraid of scary movies.
I think Eves did chime in on it.
He has to have chimed in. I'm sure we'll get there. How about let's see. I'm looking for nope. Okay. Oh boy. A lot of reviews for this one, by the way. Many pages of reviews.
Read one.
There's a repeat of Nell? Wait, Nell can't show up again. What the hell?
We only need one from
Richard.
you, Nell.
How about Richard Roper? He was he took over for the dearly departed Gene Siskel.
Yeah.
I love the way that it took chances and really asks you to take these great leaps of faith and pays off. He loves it.
Wow. Dick Roper. We salute you.
Payoff? Yeah, I don't know.
Dustin
Dustin Thompson says
This is
from April. This is from April 12th, 2002.
Oh, okay, hang on. Before you say it, it's fascinating that already it's going to be a split Destin review because either Eric's going to be happy or I'm going to be happy with it. Usually we're all
That's
happy
true.
with it.
Oh, interesting.
Right.
Well,
Destin
get
Thompson,
ready,
let's hear it.
Travis. This might be his shortest yet, and that's saying something.
Damn.
My God,
Seriously.
what is it, one word?
Good.
Suitably suspenseful and disturbing drama.
All right.
Okay.
Suitably suspenseful? Yeah. Disturbing drama? Yes. I would agree with the disturbing part. It's definitely disturbing. Ebes, as Travis alluded to, Roger Ebert. An extraordinary work concealing in its depths not only unexpected story turns, but also implications hidden at first that make it even deeper and more sad.
Yeah, okay, I read that. I'm like, did he?
Did he see the movie?
Maybe he'd suffered a great loss right before that, you know, or like in a deep place.
I better strap in for this.
Kind of colored his.
So he became much more spiritual. Yeah, he's really like
exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
I want to believe. I want to believe.
He reviewed
Let me
that
get one
movie
more woman
the
in
morning
here.
his wife died.
One more woman. This is Lisa Schwartzbaum of Entertainment Weekly.
woman.
Against all odds, in heaven and hell, it creeped me out just fine. Okay, so there you go. A lot of people, a lot of positive reviews for this movie. So,
Well, all right.
is it? Let's talk about the building up of the film and how it's played out. So this is one of those movies where the adult comes in and it's a storytelling flashback movie where the children are heavily involved. So you get to see Matthew McConaughey as
Sitting in a
supposedly Fenton.
You can see him sitting in a chair, and then he sits in the back seat of a car for a while, and then he stands. There is
Does
some
more
standing.
than Kevin Spacey in Usual Suspect.
Oh, it's even smaller. Yeah, that role's even smaller. I'll give you that. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Powers Booth and Matthew McConaughey sitting down going head to head. I'm in for that initially. Before I see the whole movie, I'm like, okay, all right. You got McConaughey and Powers Booth going head to head. I'm in. Let's see this.
Powers. Who has a kid,
Powers.
their firstborn son, and they both agree on Powers? That's the real question.
I mean, maybe it's a family name. They didn't go with John or Wilkes, which is good.
Powers won out. Anyway, yeah, like a slab of concrete face is right there on scene one. A fucking slab of concrete looking at you like
Downturned lips.
in an empty FBI office. Like 10. Come on.
Empty office. I'm going to send the one guy home and not tell anyone where I'm going. Just Seems like a good idea to me. That's what I'm going to do.
While Fenton Meeks just telegraphs the mother thing from the beginning, right off the bat. Hey, let's telegraph this photo of your mother again and again and again.
No, in case you forget, they want to bring it up every 10, 15 minutes. In case you might not know this.
We're not going to give you enough credit as the movie going public. We think we're morons and we really want to drive.
All right.
By the way, the city's called Meat, Texas. Meat, Texas.
Meat.
MEAT?
Texas. Yeah. Meat, Texas.
Is that a real place?
No.
So they could have.
I saw it on the bus stop though.
No, they did not want to associate this story with a real story, so they decided on Meat, Texas.
I also got confused between Meat, Texas, and the last name of the family being Meeks. And so I was like, wait, it was confusing initially. I admit that. It's not a huge deal, but the Meeks and Meat confused me.
All right.
Not a big deal. But so what about these types of movies, though? Because I actually thought, it's too late I thought of this. I thought we should have done a list of like our favorite movies where someone's telling a movie in flashback mode, where they're kids again, like a Radio Flyer. There's a lot of movies like this. It's a whole genre.
Or even just movies that are like crime films, kind of a la Usual Suspects, that are it's all being told retrospectively, from a witness to a. This is what they want to do with American Beauty too: a witness to a cop or somebody to a cop. Yeah. And there's a twist at the end. How many movies have you seen that little move in? I mean, a lot. I feel like.
Yeah, it's new to me.
No, okay. I could be wrong.
No, it's not. No, you're right. I'm kidding.
It felt familiar to me.
So the setup of the movie, the way this movie's structured, you liked it, Eric. You like, yeah, this is cool because it's a storytelling device, I guess.
They set a tone and an atmosphere that reminds me of like Tales from the Crypt and early Stephen King stuff that I could get into. I'm like, all right, what's this guy's story? Let's let this unfold. That's all I'll say for now.
So how long does it need to be dragged out, though? So one of my early beefs here, Eric, is the fact that once Bill Paxton, the father, is spoken to, his wife has died, and he sees an angel has come to him and given him a list eventually of names that he will get to kill because they're all demons. And the battle between the oldest son and Bill goes back and forth for a long time. Like, the things happen, right? They kill the first demon. They watch it happen, both of his sons, and he takes his sons on the adventure all the time. But this back and forth between, hey, I don't want to do this, you're just a murderer, versus Bill Paxton's father saying, hey, I've been blessed by God himself, who's a he, apparently, by the way, as well, to make sure that his will is carried out. Thy will be done by me. Now, you don't see it that way. And that's one of my early beefs, is just so much of a back and forth between them, and I got bored of it. That's a criticism I'll throw out there.
So, Eric, why is it called Frailty? Let's get to it now, then.
Oh, yeah.
The studio is pushing for just call it God's hands.
Right?
Let's make it so little it's not even funny. Well, the movie is about how easy it is, especially for a child, to be a willing participant in evil. It's about the human condition, the human spirit, especially if you're raised in this kind of religious environment where you basically have no choice but to just do whatever your parents do. That is until you get a little bit older and wiser and blah, blah, blah. You have to go to church on Sundays. So the frailty of the human spirit is something that can be examined when it comes to this situation. Okay? That's what I love about this movie. What if this happened to you? Like, I remember sitting in the theater. Granted, I was nervous about this first date, which did not work out. Who takes a girl to a horror movie on a first date and that's all they do? But I remember sitting there thinking, like, what if this happened to me? What if my dad came home and he was like, gather up, like, we're going to start killing people. I got into this story immediately because, I guess gullibility could be an alternative title for the film.
Gullibility.
But that's my take on it. And I think it pertains to mostly the central character. We have this brittle man, played beautifully by Bill Paxton, who is a servant of God, or else he claims to be. So he decides to do these horrible acts because of his own human frailty. I mean, it's pretty obvious.
Well, I don't know that's pretty obvious, but okay. I mean, I agree that I think the most if I'm hearing you right, or at least for me, the most horrifying thing about the movie is the plausibility of it. That is scary. Like, you know, the possibility of someone raising their kid to be like this and using religion as a means of justifying evil. But one of the problems I have about the movie, and most of my problems with this movie are filmmaking reasons, frankly. But one of the big problems I have with this movie, and it's funny because I didn't have this problem with The Witch, which I don't know why, but this movie presents this stuff like you're watching it from Fenton's perspective, and you are watching it thinking like this is evil. This is a guy doing evil. But by the end of the film, you were shown very clearly that Meeks the senior, whatever the fuck his name is, was right. He really was visited by an angel. They really are doing God's work. They really do become invisible when they're doing God's work. And like, you know, I don't care for a horror movie that's like, hey, isn't this terrifying? Also believe in Jesus.
Yeah.
It's just not for me.
I had a beef with the fact that of how the movie ends with the twist and all that of he's going to kill Agent Doyle. But he gets to go through this long charade to do it. But during the whole charade, it's so drawn out to make him seem like he's a killer or he's a part of this world where he had to become a killer and didn't want to. It just seems like it bummed me out when the twist happened. I was like, oh, come on, man.
Which one? The twist happens and then the movie keeps going and you get a couple.
It does.
More.
Oh, it's far from over after he lays his hands on Agent Doyle, who actually killed the mother. Turns out all that mother directing turned out he actually killed his mother, and I was surprised by that. I'm gonna say it. I was like, oh shit, he actually killed his mother. I thought like he knew who the killer. I thought what happened when he had the situation where he finally talked about his mother and freaked him out in that area they're in the middle of the night. Yeah, that they were going to go on a quest together to find the actual killer. I'm like, oh, he's telling him now he knows because he's got this list and he's anointed by God that he will help you find the actual killer. But no, it's Powers Booth who killed his mother. And that got me. That was I'll give you a credit on that twist, but it also sucked the early part of the movie away from me. Like, poof, the whole earlier part of the movie should never happen.
Wow. Yeah, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, well, it's been like 13 years. Am I gonna watch this and be like, they're just doing this whole thing so I can be surprised as an audience member? It makes no sense structurally. I didn't think that way. I mean, Adam Meeks, played by Matthew McConaughey, has to lure Agent Doyle to the Rose Garden some way. So how does he do it? He unfolds his story. He gets his character invested so he can drive himself out there to eventually be killed and buried. So it makes sense for me. Maybe
he doesn't have to lure him to the Rose Garden. Throughout the entire movie, they're killing people in the shed or in the basement of the shed. I mean, and they kidnap them somewhere else and then bring them to that spot. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense to put yourself in a situation in the hope that there's not going to be any other agents in the building and that he's not going to leave a note or call anybody and tell him, and go somewhere handcuffed in the expectation that you're good. But like, I guess you're so confident that you know, the God is always on your side. So there's like this superhero thing going on where they cannot fail, which again, it doesn't add to the suspense that no matter which way you look at it, for me, it's like, oh, okay. So you're just on this mission from God. I mean, I thought that some of the more effective stuff in the movie, for instance, was when Bill Paxton is seeing the vision from underneath the car, and he's looking up into this cathedral and like this angel, and then you see the perspective from outside the car, and he's just laying there. And like,
with sparks flying in,
right? And if they had done stuff like that would have been like, because then like you're being led to believe like this isn't really happening. Let me give you another example of why I find that the whole thing kind of inconsistent. And I thought I was being kind of nitpicky when I took this note, but then when it's revealed at the end of the movie that this is all real, this is really happening, then my note made sense, which was that when Bill Paxton's character Meeks Sr., I can't think of his first
it's called name. Dad Meeks, by the way. That's how it's labeled, Dad Meeks.
Dad. Oh, that's why I don't know his name. Dad Meeks.
Yeah,
that's Dad. Okay, I'm going to call him that. So when Dad Meeks is having his vision for the first time and is visited by an angel, and he's looking at this, whatever is glowing and it's shining and glowing, his face doesn't shine up. His face is not reflecting that at all. There's no lighting on his face almost whatsoever. He's in the dark. And at first I was like, well, that's inconsistent. I'm like, oh, because it's in his mind. He's not really seeing it, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, I guess you could still argue, oh, he only saw the angels in his mind. I'm like, I guess you could find a way to argue the whole, you know, from whatever perspective you wanted. But to me, it just seemed, convenient, like the movie was doing whatever was convenient, and it felt, I mean, wooden fucking dialogue aside, cliched wooden ass dialogue aside, it all felt to me very like an amateurish script.
Your response, Eric. Oh, yeah, we don't have to go back. Eric doesn't have to respond to everything. I didn't actually fast forward the movie.
All right.
Until I think like way late.
Plot twist?
When he gets locked after he gets locked in the cellar, like it was only a brief moment too. I only did it for like 2 seconds. Very minimal fast forwarding this, oddly enough. Wow. I don't know what that says about the movie or not, because last week's movie was probably better than this movie, so it's not fair to Robert Eggers. But what am I supposed to take from this movie? That Christ is real, Jesus is real, religion is real, because it's supposed to be like. I really thought there was a really, really good movie about child abuse and losing your sense of direction when you lose a life partner and you have to carry on with the family. And I was like, oh, wow, this is one of the most fucked up movies. For a while there, I said this is one of the most fucked up movies I've ever seen. You got this dad murdering people right in front of his 2 kids. I mean, this is hardcore. This is a hard R with like no bad language. So I kept thinking like, shit, this is so intense. But then when the movie's revealed to be like, oh, Adam really he took Dad Meeks' place as the wrath angel or whatever you want to call it.
The hand of God.
Yeah, the hand of God. Then I'm like, oh shit. So this is just like this is supernatural free-for-all, because to me, this is just my opinion, and no offense to anyone else. Religion is supernatural like anything else. It's all just like stories and tales and
you mean like fiction? You mean not?
Yeah.
You mean like,
no, I mean like parts of religion have actual supernatural stuff that I think are going on, and the written word is fiction too. So I guess my point is, I was like, I just don't know. Maybe I don't have to take anything from it. If it's entertaining, cool. But I don't think it's entertaining because kids bore me. I really don't like movies with a long stretch of children, and it's got to be done really well for me to buy into it, to take interest in it. And from the moment Dad Meeks says he saw an angel.
Dad Meeks.
Dad Meeks saw an angel. The eldest son was already like not buying it, and he said it was a dream to him for a week, and they were hoping he would never mention it again, and then it just kept coming back. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this movie. It's very strange.
I feel like you guys are both like, if I don't believe in God, like this movie sucks, because they're trying to make me say, oh yeah, it turns out God exists. So yeah.
All right, well, let me back up.
Because I know God doesn't exist. So fuck this movie.
I don't know that God doesn't exist. I just don't like movies that tell me Christianity is real. But this
is fiction. They're not telling you. Hang on. They're saying in this story, it turns out that.
And I didn't care for that. But regardless, as I said, the twists and that religious bit isn't even the real problem I have with the movie. For me, the problems are all filmmaking problems. I think that these child actors, especially the older of the two, the kid playing young Fenton Meeks, are adequate. They do pretty good. They do okay for child actors, because we've been pretty harsh on child actors in this show before. And I think that they do an okay job, a pretty good job with some really, really difficult material, the kind of material that, frankly, like you kind of worry about kids making a movie like this, because then you're like, what kind of effect is this going to have on you later in your life? I think they both do a better job than Bill Paxton. I find him utterly awful in this movie. I've always found him just like terrible in this movie. Like it feels so telephoned to me, so inauthentic. I think that maybe had he chosen to direct or star, I think he was spread a little thin, because I don't care for the direction either. I mean, and the editing, how many fades do we need? How many fucking fades do we need?
A lot of dissolves.
There's one dissolve from like a car window in the rain to a TV that works really well. It looks awesome.
Or a face to a head, a real guy's face to the head statue. How about that transition? Ooh.
Well, it's better than the kid's head floating in the dark and like spinning, like it's just his head in blackness. Looks like an Austin Powers scene.
Vertigo.
Yeah, I guess, but it's 2001. But I don't know, man. So for me, like this movie, like it's everything down to the lighting. It feels like film school to me. Like it feels really like a rickety effort.
Film shot by Bill Butler, who's no hack. He shot Jaws, The Conversation. I like the atmosphere. Like, it gets like some shit because like there's fog in the Thurman Rose Garden, so everything looks kind of fake and like a TV movie. But
maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, like it's like a good rainy day horror movie for me because it's like somber and kind of quiet and delicately directed for me by Bill Paxton. There's no showy like big swooping crane shots or like MTV horse shit. Like I like the direction. I think it fits kind of this simple, unassuming story. So yeah, and Bill Paxton for me, dude, I can respect your opinion, but like this is a fucking tough role, and it reminds me a lot of Jack Torrance. So everyone knows that Stephen King was pissed off because Jack Nicholson just seemed like he was off from frame one. And like, yeah, no one was surprised when he acted perfectly fine with all these ghosts and he was almost aligning with this terror. And whereas in the book, he was supposed to be this man who's just consumed by evil, and he turns out to be a good man. Bill Paxton, he seems like this very earnest, brittle person for me who's just trying to take care of his family. And I love his performance in this, and especially like on repeat viewings, I just see him as this father who's doing the best he can, and under these circumstances, I dig him in the role.
I'm glad you do, and our friend Steve Laskowski chiming in with "God hates this movie," which made us giggle. We weren't laughing at Eric's comment.
Yeah, that was funny.
Looked away.
But
I can see why. I mean, he's going to be like, did you read the Bible? Like, did you read the story of Isaac and Abraham? Like, I don't go through with it. I don't fucking make him kill Isaac. I pull back. It's a test. And then you want me to believe that I would make this guy kill all these people? Yeah, there's that.
And to be totally upfront, like I've never, like, I love Bill Paxton in Predator 2, and I like him I really like him in Near Dark. And a handful of other things, but I've just never, even when he passed, like, I mean, like he passed, I'm like, oh, it's a shame. He's been in my life the whole time. But like, I was kind of like, never my favorite actor. I don't know what to say. I mean, I respect the man. I think that he was in a lot of classics, but he just never was someone who I thought did convincing work for me. And you know me, dude, I am not particularly, I mean, like, I respect actors. I can't do it. If you're able to get up and do it, there's not a lot of actors. I'm like, I don't really care for him. But Bill Paxton to me has always just kind of not really worked, and that's part of it. Now, McConaughey, on the other hand, I think he does terrible work in this too. I think he's just staring, flat-faced, blank void that's just kind of sitting there, delivering his lines very emotionlessly, which I guess is like what they're going for in a lot of ways. But again, like, it's just, and then Powers Booth bugs me in this too. I mean, Powers Booth strikes me in this movie like, when do I get my fucking paycheck? I mean, that's kind of like the attitude I get from him, is that like he's just kind of storming around trying to get through it. And I feel it all feels rushed and I mean, the cinematographer, you're right, that's no slouch, but I mean, the indie feel of the film should be in like a good thing, but for me, it feels just, I'm always feeling like I'm looking at a set. I always feel like I'm looking at a room that's lit by, lights with fucking, by Fresnels. You know what I mean? It's just my complaints of this are many.
Okay, I'm hearing you.
This movie was written by Brett Hanley, who's done nothing else.
He's done nothing.
Nothing. It's not even like, oh, that one movie. That's just nothing else, okay? So maybe he's not the best writer. Who knows? I will say the dialogue is bland. Like, the responses of why this has to be done are simple. Like, Bill Paxton's Dad Beaks character is not going to go into some deep philosophical breakdown of, son, this is why we have to kill these demons. Bill Paxton gets most emotional when he has to put Fenton under the ground into the new dungeon. I love you more than anything, son. I love you more than I love my own life. And he also gets emotional when Fenton had the audacity to run away and get the sheriff, and he got him killed. Also, can you just kill the sheriff in a tiny town like that and nobody ever follows up at all? It's all good. I mean, that seems highly unlikely. That's just something
Texas.
I guess in Meat Texas. Yeah.
Another like member of the law enforcement community that doesn't take one of those while you were out memo things and just scrawl on the back of it. Hey, went to go see blah blah.
They never seem to leave back.
Yeah. Might get axed to death.
Played by
might go down into this shelter thing underground. Like, why would he do that? That was like, oh, this is creepy, buddy.
Because he's a kid. Nobody believes kids. Fuck kids. I agree his motivation actually makes sense. Like, oh, this fucking dumb kids knocking on my door late at night. Fuck.
Yeah, that part's rough. When he doesn't just call the dad, he like takes him back to the dad. It's like, oh, what are you doing, you scum?
Yeah, and that's when Bill gets most emotional. Dad Meek's like, you made me kill a man for the first time instead of a demon, and that's not powerful for you, Trevor?
No.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I'm harshly defending it here because this is what happens. Whenever I'm the odd man out, I try my best and then I pout later and text you guys how bad I feel. But I'm going to continue to defend it. One thing that is a little tricky for me to defend is the fact that even Dad Meeks is cool with just axing to death the demons. Like, this is 1979. Like, I don't know if like 1-800 Crime Stoppers is a thing yet, but maybe call in an anonymous tip. Like get McGruff out there or something.
What about all those movie references? How did you know it was 1979? Was it the Meatballs reference? Was it the
Warriors reference?
Oh, yeah, the Warriors reference? Yeah.
That's funny. I feel like I've said enough.
Yeah, you said it all.
Well, dude, I mean, I got so many notes here because I actually thought you guys would be okay. I'll try to come back down to earth here because I've been high on this since it came out 20 years ago. We got a father who is Stephen King praises the film, and Dad Meeks does remind me like he has the potential to be somebody like Mrs. Carmody from The Mist. And one thing the film doesn't do is introduce Dad as like a complete zealot. So automatically, like you have some sort of opinion about where he lies religiously. Like he's not listening to like Jimmy Swaggart in the radio. He's listening to Johnny Cash. And he's just a mechanic. So yeah, it's not immediately believable that he would be like, all right, kids, like I just got this message from God. There's this mystery there, whereas they could have had more tension there for the kids to be like, Dad's like crazy, like he's gone too far this time. I know he's like into God and stuff, but like all of a sudden, like that kind of comes out of nowhere. He doesn't seem like the type of person that would be like, we got to do everything God says. Like, come on now, guy.
I'll tell you what, I'm glad you're defending it. I genuinely am glad that you're defending it. I don't think it'd be fun for any listener that's a fan of any film to come onto a podcast or go to listen to a podcast and be like, oh, listen to these people just bash the fuck out of this movie I love for an hour. Like, no one's going to do that.
And there's clues. There's clues. Like when I remember the first time I was watching it, I'm like, I felt like I was watching a movie about kids being affected by parents' projection of their own beliefs on the children, which made for a very exciting horror. And there's clues there, like the fact that the mom is gone. Well, is this just a dad that killed their mother and now he's trying to justify his lust for murder and get his kids involved in it? He reads a book called Holy Visions that you kind of see in the dashboard of the truck. So is he inspired by that? And he's going to be like, oh, I'm going to like talk about Fatima and all this stuff and try to get my kids interested in killing. There's these clues there. So there's a solid mystery leading up until like the 8 twists at the end. So you got to give it that.
Do you? I didn't know you had to. I would reconsider it. I also think that when you look at this movie, I really thought there was a different direction they could go. I know I already said it once, but these kids are in mourning and they're sad, and it would be awful to be exploited like that. You know, I mean, the fact that they try to make it so real, it ruins the movie for me, I think. Because I thought the fact that Fenton Meeks runs away and he wants to be away from this, every kid would want to be away from this. It's awful. It's just like the worst situation. I mean, it's one of the worst situations I've seen on film for a child. It really is like that so hardcore to me.
About it. Like, when's the last time you saw a movie where a kid had to deal with this type of situation? That's what keeps me coming back.
I don't want to watch shit like that. I'm sorry, but watching this kid like. Yeah, but I mean, so horror is my favorite genre, and I love horror movies, but I'm also demanding of my horror movies and kind of picky about my horror movies. And one of the things I've never been into, say, torture porn, quote unquote, horror movies. I've never seen movies that have big reputations like a Serbian film or Martyrs. Like I'm just not interested in certain things when it comes to horror. And watching this kid stretched out across watching this kid stretched out across the fucking stairs trying to drink water through a fucking hole like for weeks, man. Like that happens to people. And to watch it on film is brutal. It's fucking brutal. Like that. Like
brutal.
It comes out in 2001 or 2, and there was a lot of walkouts. Okay, and people attribute the walkouts to the fact that the Andrea Yates case was just everywhere in the headlines, and this is a woman who drowned her own 5 children. So the idea of sitting down with popcorn to watch a movie about a father pretty much put his children through horrific abuse was a tough watch. So that puts it into a genre that was burgeoning, and that is kind of a torture porn genre and almost a child abuse horror genre. So I can see that being pretty tough.
Yeah, I don't think it's even almost.
No, it's it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal, and I just don't. I don't know why anybody would want to sit there and watch that. If some people that they would walk out, and I understand why you would. It could be very uncomfortable. It could be traumatic and triggering for a lot of people. At the same time, I just don't care. I get really. There's a couple incidents. I've already named some of them, but another one is when a child, the youngest, Adam, is like, what? Is he 10 maybe? Not even that. He's 8.
Something like
he's
that.
going to be able to swing a giant axe and chop a guy's head off. I know that's maybe inconsequential to others, but the fact that he can finish the job after dad gets stabbed, which I also question whether Fenton could swing that axe and kill his dad with that. This is a big axe. It's hard to swing an axe. Have you ever swung an axe? You need to be
but he's done a lot of
tough.
shoveling that summer. He's built up.
Oh,
his
it's true.
own
He
strength.
did. Yeah, he really got to work out from the shoveling. I forgot about that. That's fair. Okay, that's fair. But I had more egregiously that after Dad Meeks is stabbed by his own son,
Meeks.
and he's not going to let his mission die. He whispers ever so gently to young Adam to finish the job. Yes, and he can. And that's the other thing too. Is Fenton a serial killer? Was that real? I started to get confused at the end of the movie because it was going all over the place.
So Fenton becomes a serial killer. He's the real God's hand killer that's killing people randomly and like
He is.
And he is, and he's doing that to try and draw his brother to him, and his brother eventually does, when he gets around to it, kill him, but he's being more secretive about his murders. Am I right, Eric?
I was confused.
You're on the right track, and that is it gets a little murky. I like the direction, and there's some like silly cinema showmanship here at the very end. I'm cool with the fact that they make the actual Fenton a serial killer. You go through this sort of circumstance in your early life, that may mold you into something you don't want to become. There aren't enough clues there. I mean, I can see maybe if they planted some stuff like he does start committing the murders, so he gets kind of a taste for it. But like, I mean, he's so staunchly defiant throughout the entire thing, and then all of a sudden he's going to become a serial murderer.
He is so dead fast against murdering that he will kill his own father to make him stop murdering. And then
but that's his destiny.
Killer?
When he says, I'm ready to fulfill my destiny and kills his own father, I think that's where they're saying that's his turn to having a bloodlust for murder. It doesn't really work.
I guess
that was so obvious too, by the way. He was going to kill his dad there. I'm like, oh, okay. I see this coming. It's not surprising at all.
No,
it wasn't to me.
The only thing surprising about all that was that mesh shirt that Bob White or Chad White or Brad White, where the fuck his name is wearing. He's got this black mesh shirt.
Brad White. Yeah, that's right. It's Brad's White. Dead fish.
Yeah.
So it got confusing for me because I don't know who's who now. I know they mixed up the identities as part of the ruse, which I get, but I don't know who was a serial killer, who wasn't. What about the beginning when he shot himself on the phone? That was just like a made-up lie then? Remember that? He stole the ambulance from the town. Oh, yeah. He's actually the sheriff but we're led to believe that his brother called him up on the phone and he shot himself. Yeah, didn't I see that? Is that what I saw?
You did. No, that's right. In the
he
very
said he
witnessed
witnessed his own brother's suicide. That didn't really add up, but come on, you got to forget about that.
Come on, ignore that. Check out this part.
Let's not talk about that.
So, I mean, okay. Again, kind of a clumsy script in some ways that could have been. And as you said, Eric, you said it was an unassuming story. I don't know that I agree with that. I think it assumes a lot about its audience that you're going to be able to handle a bunch of shit and put up with like these weird twists and turns and. Yeah.
The grabbing of the bodies was real. When he grabbed their bodies, that was real.
Right. It was all.
I thought he was acting.
It was all real.
Well, I'm sorry, but like one of the God's tools was the gloves, right? Where you
Yeah.
can actually see the demons, but they kind of abandon it because
And also, why can't he
McConaughey
see-
doesn't need the gloves when he shakes the guy's hand at the end and says,
Right.
"You're a good man." I thought you had to have the gloves on. Come on
Well,
now.
and also, if your son is a demon and you're touching your son all the time, why are you not seeing your son as a demon? And also, if seeing a demon means seeing their evil ways, the evil things they've done, they're not demons; they're fucking people. And two,
That's why you got to call him a gruff.
your son hasn't done anything yet. So I guess it's kind of kind of like in Moon Knight, I guess, like killing people for what they will do.
Precogs. Yeah, where's
But
the
of course-
precogs in this movie?
Where's the precog?
But of course, he only does that
Murder.
because of what his father made him. Which, okay, so there's things to talk about here, but
Remake?
I wouldn't watch it.
Oh, but I'm a fucking demon. All right. So, any other further final notes, guys, before we come to a conclusion on Frailty?
Oh man, dude. Bill Paxton would have been 67 this week.
Oh, he must have done a lot of
Bill.
coke. I think he did a lot of coke. That's what I'm guessing.
You
That's
guys
a
are
guess.
breaking my heart,
Allegedly,
dude.
please don't sue.
You guys are breaking my heart.
Take us for everything we got.
The warm, kind, sweet, earnest Bill Paxton. Watch Mean Dreams. This is a film I brought up quite a while back. It's one of his last movies where it's kind of a hard-ass role for him. Fucking awesome in it, man. I think it's on Netflix, called Mean Dreams. Watch it. I really love Bill Paxton. But as far as like lastly, I'm not saying I'm going right now, but I guess I can if you guys want to wind it down.
It's also an all Texas crew and cast, Powers Booth, Matthew McConaughey, Bill Paxton, Texans loving Texans. Isn't that nice? That's authentic.
That's cool.
I guess.
Yeah.
Good old meat Texas.
In Meat
where
Texas,
Dad,
and-
meat Texas, where Dad meat's made of.
Yeah, meat's
Meat.
meat
Texas.
Oh.
Yeah. Meat Texas, where Otis murders people, but Otis is an
Otis.
axe, not a person. So, and who, I don't know why he's called Otis. I have no idea. That was never explained. I don't think I care, frankly.
It seems like someone carved their initials in it because it was their axe, and then Bill came and robbed them.
Yeah.
Seems to be the case.
Rob that abandoned barn.
It's like someone's
know
like,
what?
I gotta stop chopping wood and go take a piss around the barn real quick. They come back. What the fuck?
What if that was the same? What if it's the same axe from last week? That was the old man who chopped wood. That axe lived on for centuries. Who knows? That'd be fun. What a connection between these two movies.
No.
And better child acting for the guy who played Caleb last week. This is also a mistake. Bad timing, I feel like, because we saw Caleb do some
yeah.
killer child acting last week, and then I had to watch these guys this week, and it just didn't quite get there. I mean, that was a high bar to clear.
I do think that this perfectly made sense as a companion piece to The Witch. I can
It
100% see why watching The Witch, this came to mind. There's a lot of connective tissue between the movies in terms of theme.
Well, Travis, then do you want to lead us off then? Because I feel like
Sure.
we kind of know where you're going with this.
So I found myself going back and forth on whether or not I was going to, in return, subject you, Eric, to Freddy Got Fingered. And I decided that you did not know my hatred of this movie. I'd never really addressed it with you. I don't think we've ever talked about it before. So you didn't know what you were inflicting upon me. I get, like, I rarely have I dreaded watching a movie so much for this podcast. And I hated it even more the second time. I really am genuinely sorry to anyone that likes this movie. I know it's hard to hear people bash things that you enjoy. Eric, I'm sorry for putting you through this, but I've always felt strongly about this movie. And this was my tempered response. I've actually kind of reined it in more than I thought it would.
Damn.
So, I put it at the bottom of lists. I put it at the bottom of the list of movies that we've done on this show. It doesn't hold up.
Wow.
Worse than Harsh Times?
I'd rather watch Harsh Times. Yeah.
Damn.
All right, Eric, why don't you redeem us? Then I'll close it out.
Yeah. I suppose I kind of, something about me likes the fact that you don't like it, because it makes me feel even better for being a fan, to appreciate what it has to offer here, man.
Good.
We've got, like I said, it's kind of this dour, kind of just like rainy day, different horror movie with this weird story. What if this happened? What if one day your dad came in your room and said, "We got to start killing people. What are you going to do about it?" All right, well, let's investigate this. Let's watch a movie about this. Does it have a clumsy ending where they shove a bunch of stuff in at the last second to try to tie it up? This mood and this atmosphere and this building anxiety and trepidation and moroseness throughout, this foreboding tone from a first-time director, Bill Paxton, that I dig. I love the performances. I don't know. I just dig it. It's something different. It makes you think after you've watched it, in my opinion. So for that reason, I believe it still holds up as kind of just something different in 2002 when horror was about to get fucked by Hostel and all this other horse shit. So yeah, I'm still a fan. I think it holds up.
Okay. Well, these all make sense. Now it's up to me. I really don't know how to feel about the film, but it did confuse me a great deal, as we mentioned early on. Steve says, "Killed the vibe on my Plenty of Fish first date." Damn you, Paxton!
Plenty of
Why is everyone using this as a date
plenty
movie?
of fish?
I'm so sorry. Yeah, date movie recommendations need to be upgraded for some of us, our
bad
friends
call.
here. So, yeah. But I love Matthew McConaughey. I mean, I really do. I love watching him in a film, and I think he's fine in this movie because he's supposed to be like so at peace with the world because God has entrusted him as his servant. It actually makes sense that that's the way he would act. He'd be the kind of guy who's like, "It's cool, man. God's got my back." And I'm like, okay, well, I buy that. It's not, he doesn't need to get fired up because God's got him covered. I love Powers Booth. That's fun. I just feel it's a missed opportunity for Bill Paxton. He's a first-time director, too. I feel bad for him, right? This is his first directorial effort, correct?
Yeah.
So much left on the floor for the possibility of, I know it's a thriller, but exploring this family dynamic in a much more honest way, in a different way where you really feel the pain of the children, but you also kind of get it authentically because a dad in this age from 1979 or so doesn't know what to do with two boys, doesn't know how to like help them get in touch with the pain and challenge of losing a mother, a parent, in a time in their lives where they really need one. They're going to need their dad too, but mental health, 1979 doesn't exist. I mean, it exists, but it doesn't really exist in this type of dynamic. And I wouldn't expect it to either. So I shouldn't shove my own beliefs and point of view into a movie in a time period. It's kind of an anachronistic thing to do. I don't want to do that. So I'm not going to do that. But it's kind of a boring movie to me. I didn't even say this yet, so I'm saying it now. I love Eric. I love you very much. You're a good man, and I'll always appreciate our friendship.
He didn't make this movie. He didn't write it.
Well, I gotta read it. I gotta let him know. I just gotta let him know. Yeah.
Bad date. Love the movie. No offense.
It's so odd that I fast forwarded less of this movie than last week's, but last week's held up. This one, I guess I was just trying to wait for it and be a little bit more patient. It does move quicker than Robert Eggers because Eggers moves slow as fuck anyways. So the pacing's quicker, but it's still it might be more boring than The Witch, which is kind of hard to believe. So I think I'm going to say this one doesn't hold up just for a few reasons. It's not something I'd ever watch again. I wouldn't watch The Witch again either. I really wouldn't, but it did hold up. So This one, I'm sorry, Eric.
I'm not offended.
It's been a while since a movie did not hold up. I guess we're back on the do not hold up train.
But I love this movie more than you.
Well, you're allowed to do that.
Hey, if you're a big fan of this movie, get your ass over here and tell Eric why you love it. Support him. He needs it right now.
More than ever.
Yeah, come at him like with a really earnest look on your face, full tilt with an axe running towards the camera, and tell him how much you feel.
Yeah, like that slow-mo shot of Braveheart. Yeah.
It's like shot after shot of him like just coming in. Like, oh, there he is again. Just coming at the camera.
No blood splatter in any of this movie, by the way?
Nope, hardly any blood.
Purpose. It's about the kids' reactions, not the gore.
Bloodless. Bunch of bloodless murder.
Okay,
not even like on the dirt. Anyways,
it's over. You don't have to deal with this anymore, Travis. You can let it go. All right, there it is. Frailty. It's done. Frailty's in the can for this week. Next week, we're going to do a movie that will be my choice. And
more horror?
I'm totally getting us out of this. You know it's over. Right. It's over.
Yeah.
Climb out. It's time to move on. It was fun. It did make sense to have it a companion piece. I agree, but this is not a horror exclusive show, so it's time for us to go in a different direction. And I think we're going to go in a different genre, of course. And I was thinking it over. I got this list of so many movies. It's so hard to choose. And I was looking at it yesterday, and I'm like, oh, I'd like to do that one. I'd like to do that one. But I'm going to go to 1988. We're going to the 80s.
Good. More 80s. Need more 80s movies.
More 80s. I haven't watched this movie in forever, but I mean, I could quote the whole movie once upon a time in my life, but I have easily not seen this movie in 20 years, at least, probably. It's been a long damn time. It was groundbreaking at the time. Let's do Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Dude, it's on my short list.
All right.
This is a great call, man.
Yeah.
Hey, okay, cool. All right,
This is
excellent.
a great call.
Yeah, good call.
I'm fucking just thinking about this the other day.
I was thinking about it.
You don't hear about
today.
it at all.
I was reading about it today.
I was reading about because I was
Okay.
reading
Wow.
about Chippendale Rescue Rangers, and they're comparing it a lot to this movie. But you don't hear a lot of people talking about Roger Rabbit.
I was reading about Bob Hoskins talking about how he had to stop doing movies for a year after he filmed this because he started hallucinating weasels coming out of walls.
Holy shit! There's a lot to talk about.
He had a hard
I'm
time.
pumped. This is a great call.
Okay, cool. Well, then we'll do it next week. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Robert Zemeckis'
First
film.
Bob Zemeckis?
I think so.
I think so. Yeah.
We haven't done. Yeah. We didn't do Forrest Gump. We haven't done Back to the Future. We didn't do one of those
We
stupid.
did do Back to the Future, dude.
Oh, we did. That's right. Holy shit
A
balls!
long time ago. I think it was like episode 10 or something.
We've
One of
come
our
to the
first
point where we
guests.
can't remember our old episodes. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I guess that one just went right over my head. So, okay, yeah, we did do Back to the Future. You can go back to listen to it anytime. And if you want to watch all of our old episodes, right here on the YouTube, 5-star reviews, subscribe, yada yada yada. You know how it works.
subscribe.
Yeah, do something positive for the show. We'd be very grateful. So until
Murder
next
demons.
week, keep murdering the demons and follow God's will. For Travis, Eric, I'm Michael. We'll see you next time.
May God welcome you and keep you.